All right, guys, welcome back. We are so close to having this Jeep done. I've got a litany of things I've got to finish up. We're trying really hard to get this back down to Windrock at the end of the month to wheel with Wheats Offroad for their annual New Year's ride. I've got some little things like oil change. I got to replace a PCV valve. The corners are going to come off and get powder coated. That's my big thing that I'm hoping happens in time. I already started extending the sliders. I'll show you guys that. And we've got a leak in the rear locker that I got to investigate as well. And then just some airlines and some little things. So I think this video is just going to kind of be a recap of the final nuts and bolts, so to speak, to throw everything together. And fingers crossed we make that wheeling trip. So let's get after it. So I installed a catch can a while back because every time I was on an incline, it was ingesting oil, which is one of the reasons I'm going to have to replace that PCV valve. But I want to go ahead and check this and make sure that it's not full. And if so, I'll dump it and move on. I know that I've got a valve cover leak on the driver's side that I'll address this winter. So you do smell oil burning a little bit, but I was actually burning oil at high inclines. So I put like a Napa PCV valve in there and it's still doing it. So I actually bought the full what is it, Mopar. I bought the Mopar real part number, so we'll see if that works. So a little bit in there, I'll dump this. You guys can kind of see catch can, it's got a little baffle in there to catch everything, keep the air up top. And if we pull that out, you can see there's oil down in there. Wow, that's actually a lot. I don't think this has blow-by. I mean, it's only got 86,000 miles on it. I'm really hoping it doesn't have any blow-by because we're going to put a V8 in this eventually, but eventually is not now. And I really just want to wheel this thing. So we'll see. So next, while these skid plates are off, I want to go ahead and check the fluid level of the transfer case. I haven't checked it in a long time. So it should, you got drain hole, fill hole, and it should just weep out of this fill hole. Yep, okay, it's coming out. That means the fluid's good. Perfect. That was easy. Okay, I got the Jeep outside. The next thing we got to worry about is this shock and that track bar mount. Very close, because Falcon and their infinite wisdom thought putting these shocks upside down was a great idea. So I've got to, yeah, you can see where it's rubbing there just a little bit. So I've got to get the Jeep up in the air, drop that shock, and we'll grind that down a little bit and hopefully clearance that enough. I think I'll eventually put different shocks on this, but for now, that's what we're doing. Guys, one of the other things I got to work through, and this is to be expected when you do this big of a job, but you can see this sway bar link, because if you see the spring, it's going that way because the track bar has pulled everything towards the passenger side. So when it does that, pulls the driver's side tire into that link, and it is touching the tire. So at full droop straight down, we've got a clearance issue. So I might be able to flip the link, but I think it's going to hit the frame. So I got to figure that out too. Okay, I flipped the link and it did in fact hit the frame. I think I'm just going to move to an anti-rock down the road, but for this ride, we're just going to send it. The axle isn't going to droop all the way to the bottom of both shocks pretty much ever, so fingers crossed. Oh, look at that. My brake is falling apart. And this is why we check all of our stuff. That needs Loctite. Okay. Get this out of the way. Beautiful. I'll give you guys a better look. So you can see how much droop these dang things have. It's a lot. So get a better look here. It's just barely grazing it. I've already ground off a decent amount. I don't want to go a whole lot further because we're just compromising the strength at that point. So I'm going to get right in here, and then hopefully that's enough. All right, I took a little bit off. We're just going to run it and see. It's not into the shock too terrible, but I definitely don't want that to bust through. Oh, through. Beautiful. Okay. Well, it's something. We'll see. I forgot about our brake. This was just sitting here loose. So I'll put some Loctite on that and tighten it back up. Oh, it actually worked. Well, kind of. Okay, next we're going to work on the PCV valve. I've got to take this fender off, then take the fender liner out, and then you can get to it back up through here. I know some people came through the top. The last time I was able to get my hand in there with a real small Torx bit and get the 2 Torx off. So that is what we will do now. All right, I'm actually gonna see if I can pull just the liner without pulling the fender. I don't think I can, but I'm gonna try first. So I'm gonna try to take this off in pieces. Can't remember how I put it on 4 years ago. So there's that. Got it. Now I'm hoping I can just pull this out, but I don't think I'm that lucky. Problem is, these hit literally everything. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. Hopefully I can get those back in there. All right, PCV valve is up and back. Okay, the PCV is back and up. Oh, it's not gonna focus. Well, it's pretty much back in here. I can reach up there and grab it with my hand, so we'll see if I can get it. So it's too narrow back there to actually put a socket on the back of this. So I've got a 1/4 inch ratcheting drive onto my T25. I tried to punch this out and it doesn't want to come out. It's nice and rusted, but I'll see if I can do this, and if that doesn't work, I'll get some heat out and try to punch this. But you got to get that back up in there and then get these 2 T25s out. I already pulled off the hose up at the top. Okay, I forgot. I converted these to a 5/16 head bolt. So that was way easy. I just used a 1/4 inch drive and I got the bottom one out. Can't remember what I read or what I saw that told me to do that, but that was a win. So the bottom one's out, we'll go move to the top. All right, used the 5/16 ratcheting wrench, got the top bolt out, so now we'll pull the PCV out, put the new one in. All right, that's gonna come out through the bottom. Well, I'd say this is bad because the orifice that's supposed to be in the middle is still in there. So let's see if I can dig that out. It's supposed to look like this. That's not good. Okay, well, I pulled that back off. That's supposed to go in there like that. Why it came off, I'm not really sure. But we'll grab the new one and put it on. You can see this thing is just covered in oil. All right, we'll try this from the bottom. Some hoses at the top that are hitting this. It's really the dipstick that's in the way. All right, I've got the new one on. It's not fully seated, so these guys should suck it down. Oh, so with my closed eyes and, oh, look at that hole. Wow. Lucky. So we'll climb up top, put the top one in. Hopefully this fixes the oiling issue. I don't really know. I think something else is going on, but right now I'm throwing parts at it in hopes that it's an easy fix like this. Just hope it's not blow by, or else you guys get a lot of content. This one is the worst one because the hose is in the way. So the hose you can't really shove out of the way because the dipstick's in the way. You can try, and you need really tiny hands. And I'm gonna drop this bolt and it's gonna go all the way through the engine. We're all gonna be angry about it. Just like that. You guys aren't gonna believe this, but we didn't hear it hit the floor. And I'm feeling around because it sounded like it hit the cat. It's directly up there, fell straight down. I start looking, see if I can show you. Do you see it? Oh, it's over there. There. Laying on the engine bay. Cannot believe I even saw that. Now I gotta figure out how to get it. Victory. Okay, let's see how many times I can drop this. Ho ho ho. How about that? Oh, did it start? It even started. We're living right, guys. Now, it's, again, still won't fix my problem, but it'll make me feel better about it. All right, we'll tighten these down, reconnect the hose, and then that's another job done. All right, I finally got it. Had to pull out this baby because you had to turn to get down in to tighten that top bolt, but otherwise it's in. Put the hose back on. I'll go ahead and put the inner fenders on, but PCV valve is done. It's a new day. We got a little bit different plan now. Shop foreman's here. So these are the sliders that I extended. I still got a little bit of cleanup to do on these guys, but you can see I basically plugged them and then plug welded them and then added you know, some spacers for it. So that should be an 8-inch extension to cover our 8-inch stretch. I had to notch the corners a little bit so we could put a brace in here because my, let's see, lower control arm is now outboarded. So the old mount kind of went right here. So the new mount is gonna go pretty much where that mark is. But the issue I'm having right now is that I've been trying to find someone to paint match or powder coat match all this. I had a powder coater lined up. He sent me some samples, and unfortunately, it isn't gonna match. So I'm gonna have to find somebody else to paint match them, or we'll just have to paint them ourselves. So in the meantime, to make this ride, I picked up a set of 2-door Rubicon rails from Facebook, and we're just gonna slap those on and take it easy on this next ride until I can kind of figure out my best paint option. My biggest issue with the sliders, and the reason I'm not putting them on now, is because all of these bolts will have to come back out in order to remove the corners. And once I weld these guys on, there's no way to get the corners off again. So the corner armor's got to be painted before I weld my my good sliders on. I'll show you, there's a little bit of a clearance issue with this. I'll show you that next, but I think we can work around it. So I have the Ruby rails just kind of hanging right now. You can see why this isn't a permanent solution because they still have a little bit of overhang in the back. But right now it's just hanging off the body, but I want to show you my clearance issue. I have a Poison Spider roll cage in this, and you can see there that the Ruby rail is hitting my bolt for my roll cage. So I'm pretty much just going to notch that out enough to slide. I think you can kind of see it. I only need about, I don't know, half a hole for that to slide forward. So we'll clearance that and then bolt everything up. All right, I trimmed them up. They fit flush now. The one thing I am a little concerned about, you can see these bolts, once this sucks in tight, these are probably going to touch. So if I take any kind of major hit on these, I run the risk of damaging the corners, but I think for now we're just going to have to run the risk. There you can see I just kind of lobbed off the mount. It's no longer hitting the bolt, and we'll just run a bolt up in there and call it good. All right, that easy. Couple bolts, good to go. Hopefully it'll get us through the weekend. move on to the other side. And there is the passenger side. So the next thing we got to do, I moved the ARB down here behind the driver's seat, and I went ahead and kind of put an on-off valve so I can run a remote hose to the back so I can plug my Morphlate in back here with all my air stuff instead of behind the driver's seat. So I've got a kind of 6-foot hose. We'll go ahead and connect it to the ARB. I'll probably run it down this rail and then figure out some way to mount it back here. Okay, went ahead and ran the hose, tucked it up in. You can barely see it. I got a nice little shutoff valve down there. Runs over. I actually used a brake line mount. Drilled a couple holes, mounted it to my shelf, and went ahead and checked that my Morphlate still plugged into the top of it. So nice and stable. Another job done. Getting really close, guys.
Would you just look at it? Wow, the suspension is going to be awesome. I did not expect it to have this much flex. Guys, the Jeep is 98% done. We're so close, but it's good enough to go wheel. Thanks for sticking with us. Stay tuned for the next one where we get down to Windrock and see how this thing actually performs. Don't forget to check out our Facebook and Instagram. We'll see you guys next time.